So, since COVID-19 happened, I couldn't go back to Indonesia, and that's why we're here. Anyway, welcome to my channel. My name is Karin. I'm Indonesian and I'm currently living in Sweden, and I make videos about my experience studying abroad in UK, a scholarship, and currently my experience living in Sweden. So be sure to subscribe to my channel and let's go back to the video. Okay, so I arrived in Sweden around 3 months ago on January 24th. Originally, I planned to stay here for 90 days. I am visiting my husband, who is a Swede, and my flight back to Indonesia was actually scheduled on April 17th. My biggest worry was about my visa, first and foremost, because all my flights were canceled and the borders that I was supposed to be transiting were also closed, and some of them are still closed, so I couldn't go back home as planned. So after I dealt with my visa situation, the next big thing that I worried about is the virus itself. It's kind of funny how it's kind of the other way around, because I am a temporary visitor here and I do not want to have a bad record on my visa and my passport, although obviously it's not because I want to be here longer than I should, but it's because of the situation. But yeah, anyways, it's quite interesting for me as a visitor to see the Swedish approach and the Swedish strategy, especially comparing it with my home country. The Swedish prime ministers and Swedish government and the Swedish state epidemiologists have held numbers of press conference, and they've released statements which you can read all of it on their official website, but I just want to share you about what I think of it as a just regular visitor here. I don't know what other word that could describe it other than interesting, because there is no lockdown in Sweden, and I don't want to dive deep into the debate of whether it's good or it's bad, but that's why I said it's interesting. Since the situation gone worse and worse here in Sweden, there is no store closures, there is no preschool or kindergartens closures. The local pizzeria is still open until today. Local shop is open, local bakery is open, even the local supermarket chain is also open. And I see people walking still every day, walking their dogs, walking around, even though with a less and less frequency. So their approach is to ban gathering of 50 people, and they have closed secondary and higher schools so that they can study from home. But for kindergarten and preschool, they still open it because they do not want parents who are medical workers to have to worry about their kid and ended up having to take care of their kids, and it's going to hurt the medical environment where they work. Other than that, they put regulations in restaurants in which there must be space between one seat and one table to another, and there's no police officers roaming around the city telling you that you have to be inside, or telling you you cannot drive next to each other in the car, like what happened in my hometown, Jakarta, Indonesia. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. I can say though, I see that there are some good things that I personally learned from the Swedish approach, in which it took a lot of trust within their community to be able to still try to flatten the curve, because the Swedish society has its own uniqueness, and in that they are very respectful with others. And even though they are sort of individualistic, but in their way of being individualistic, they try not to cross each other boundaries. And in itself, it already gives like a social distancing. They also know that they have to be mindful with their actions so that it does not disadvantage others. And that's just very interesting to me, because just because they're individualistic, they're not selfish. If it's applied in my country, it's gonna be a different story, but it's totally not an apple to apple comparison. I am 100% not saying that Sweden is doing it better than Indonesia. Who knows, maybe, but Indonesia has a 200 million population, Sweden only has 10 million population, already different field to play in. But it's just very interesting to see that the context of the Swedish society, they're already sort of set to do a social distancing anyway, because of the low density in their population. Maybe in big cities like Stockholm, of course, but in a small city that we live in right now, there's, you know, barely people walking around on the street, and very different with a typical small town in Indonesia where there are still a lot of people. They have a high trust in their community, and also somewhat to their government, so they kind of like have a high awareness of doing things the right way individually. There's no need to be like police officers telling you not to do stuff, because they're well aware that they shouldn't do it, like from within themselves. And that's very interesting for me to see, coming from a country that is very diverse and with a very high population density, very difficult to manage, and very complicated problems. This is quite interesting for me to see. As for me, a visitor, I am just, you know, enjoying the summer that's coming now in Sweden. And while I still can't walk outside, I also am very grateful with that. But on top of it all, I'm very thankful that my husband and I were safe or healthy here, and our family are healthy. We haven't visited his parents the past 3 months, but that's fine. And yeah, everyone is healthy, and we are trying to keep our distance and also be aware of what we do when we go outside, because even though there is no lockdown in Sweden, I can say that the vibe is still different. People are more cautious towards each other. They try not to be too close to other people, and just overall still acknowledging this virus while trying to do the normal day-to-day life. Anyway, if you are interested to know more about the Swedish approach, I have an interesting discussion that I really like, and it featured the Swedish expert Johan Giesecke, and I will put the link on my description box down below. Please put in the comment what you think of it, the lockdown situation in your country maybe, and I hope you and your family are safe and sound. And this is a difficult time for all of us, but we just gotta go through with it, right? So anyway, thank you for watching, and I will see you soon. Bye.